obviously, men's college basketball was the big one, with it all culminating last night in a UNC-Kansas showdown. I feel awful because one of my dear, dear friends has been a North Carolina fan since the beginning of time. He and his wife, Jolene, were at the game last night. His name is Daniel. He's the guy that tapes games, and you're not allowed to tell him the score, and he'll go home and watch it. And I don't know how he still does that in this day and age. But anyways, during halftime of last night's game, when they were up big, there's a thread with some Spurs people, and we were all like, "Yeah, this is awesome." Like, you'd think sports people would know better. But we were like, "Oh, congratulations, Daniel. This is awesome. I bet you're having a great time."
Oh no!
And sure enough, as the text slowed down and the score started to change and all the momentum shifted, we were all just like, "Oh no!" And sure enough, it worked. The jinx worked. It always does. I can't believe I did that to someone. But Kansas with the historic comeback. I don't know how much I give Kansas coming back and UNC just pooping the bed. They had a big injury right at the end there. I'm happy for Paul Pierce. But the game itself, I loved, right? Like, so many times we're worried that we had such a high coming off of North Carolina eliminating Duke and Coach K that I thought, oh, this championship game might be such a letdown. And it wasn't. Did you guys love it?
I think I had less rooting interest in this than I expected I would. It felt to me like almost, I don't want to say a letdown, but it was like, you're right. Like, the Final Four was the emotional, dramatic, like, memes going crazy on the internet kind of night. And Monday night I was like, all right. I mean, whichever team wins, I don't really care about either of these teams.
That's fair.
I loved it.
If you loved it, really? Paige?
Look, on Saturday, for the last 5 minutes out of the game, I was at a bar. I was just smiling. Like, I had no rooting interest in the game. I just was like, I love sports. This is the best. I'm having a great time.
We did have a rooting interest in the game because no one wanted to see Coach K move on. No one did. So we did have a rooting interest. Our hearts did and our minds.
Well, I would argue that if Duke had won, our rooting interest, like, rooting for Coach K to win on Saturday just means that he would take the L in the championship, potentially, right? So he's getting a little higher to fall a little harder?
Yeah.
Follow that logic?
I wanted him out ASAP. And I also wanted him out at the hands of North Carolina twice within like a month's period. Like that.
Oof.
It's brilliant.
Sweet.
It's brilliant.
Sweet.
Another thing about that, I'm going to try to limit my language here and not make it as colorful as I did in the presence of friends and family. How do you say this? The Suckfest that went on during that North Carolina Duke game. I mean, you almost kind of wish we had at least 2 more weeks of talking about how it was potentially his last game. And I believe at one time Jim Nantz actually said something along the lines of, could this be Coach Krzyzewski's last time out called? I was like, oh my God. Again, I don't want to generalize men and women, but we always get such a bad rep for being cheesy and emotional and over the top, when in reality, my goodness, the sports cliches and the cheese factor that was going on. Like, we know. That's why we're hurrying this whole thing up. We want this to be over. Could this be his last pregame shit? I don't care. Like, I want this to be done. And so for that and that alone, I was thrilled on Saturday. I was really, really, really genuinely happy, having zero real horse in the race. And that's weird to get that out of a sports match, if you will. I was trying to figure out how to say all that without, like, getting really graphic, because I reached a limit of like how much crap we had to listen to. And oh God. Did you guys watch the 12.5-year-long video that they put together? I believe it aired on TBS, with Coach K sitting in a dark room surrounded by 360 degrees of movie screens, watching his entire life flash before his eyes, with every player that's ever played the game of basketball, not just for Duke, but ever, saying something kind about him, while he just sat there and went, and then like pretended to cry at the most cringe. It was cringe. And I cry at commercials. Like, I'm not completely heartless. Cringe. But what really hurt my feelings was that after this video aired, they came back out to like Ernie and Charles and everyone. And I love all of them, obviously. But they were all just like, who's chopping onions? I was like, nobody nobody's chopping. If you're crying at that, you're crying about something else in your life that just went wrong. That was not the video. And the reason I feel justified is because I watched people on Twitter talk about it, and everyone with check marks was like, that's the greatest thing I've ever seen on TV. And like every comment back was like, then you don't watch enough TV. Because it wasn't. It was over the top and dramatic just to be over the top and dramatic. It didn't feel warm because he's not warm. And I think that was like my most cringeworthy moment of the weekend. And there were other cringeworthy moments, but that one left me just feeling like dirty. I can't believe y'all didn't see this.
I think I got the warm feeling that you're describing with every cut to Roy Williams in the crowd.
There you go.
There's a man who's just having a good time.
Right? Like loving life.
You're describing, Beadle, the emotional journey I go on each time we lionize Tom Brady on one of these
exactly.
networks. I'm like, are we all not watching the same thing? Like, why this guy? Why are we doing this?
And like,
it just doesn't feel right. You're like, why are we all pretending we love this guy? He's boring. He's mean. Who cares? Mean.
Like, and I don't remember. I wish I could remember who wrote it. I want to say it was Bleacher Report, but I feel like that's wrong. Anywho, it was this whole article saying exactly what you're saying. Like, why is the media all of a sudden pretending to just love this guy when in reality he hasn't been lovable, and that's been his own doing for decades? But all of a sudden, it's like a funeral. Like an asshole dies, and all of a sudden we're supposed to come up with something nice to say. No, guy was an asshole. He's dead. Let's drink. I'm not even gonna. Why? He didn't show respect to tons of people. He brought journalism students into his office that one time. There are stories about him that it make me cringe, and I feel good because I have educated my small circle of friends in San Antonio. You know, if you don't believe me, Google it, and then they've gone out, and then that circle has branched out. So I feel like personally I've affected at least 30 people's opinions about Coach K this weekend.
This is like an MLM for Coach K hate.
It really is. Like, I
recruit
nailed
10
it.
people who recruit 10 people.
I loved it. And I was happy for Mark Titus, obviously, because he was there and he was our guest and he roasted him. Was it Barstool Big Cat, who was walking into the game with tiny little cheat sheets about what a kind of person Coach K was, handing it out to her? Like, it was fun. It was really, really fun. And, you know, whatever. I liked it. It came, it went, it happened. Anything stand out for you guys in the actual, like, championship game or anything else that I missed?
No, I wanted to go here. This was you got where I was thinking. Like, why do we have to saint this guy? I just didn't understand it. I don't care. I'm thinking we call this the K-anon. You should be the truth teller of what's really going on behind the scenes. It makes me kind of sick when everyone just goes with groupthink and we blank our brains and are like, yeah, I do love this guy. Like, why?
Right,
Someone say one reason, unless you went to Duke. Tell me one reason why.
Unless you're related to him or you went to Duke. And you can't say because he won a bunch of shit. No, that's not a reason to make somebody a saint. Lots of bad people are successful in life. That's not the point. Give me 4 reasons. Like, because in my mind, he and his wife went backstage and kicked puppies as soon as that game ended. Because that's how I picture a Coach K celebration. So anyways, I feel good.
Okay,
one shining moment. Do we have
Yes,
thoughts?
thank you. Here we go. Speaking of groupthink, one shining moment is bad.
Oh, God, here we go.
The end. It's bad.
It's overrated. It's overrated.
It's bad.
It's overrated. You're right. It's a great song.
And we need to stop pretending that it's good.
Yeah,
I'm with you, but can I pose an alternative to this? Which is
try.
It's comfort food for people older than any of us.
Okay.
And
I'm old, so that's saying something.
Yes,
60?
but it's a template that they got to use until a certain group of people aren't watching anymore, and then they're going to fix it. But it's sort of like, I don't know, it'd be like complaining about the set on Price is Right. Like, okay, if you dropped in now and so you'd be like, what the hell is with this? But for everyone else who's grown up with it, you're like, that's the way it's supposed to be.
But what is the audience makeup of, like, for example, last night's game? Who's watching last night's game? Is it not us and like
the youngs?
Then younger? The
youths?
youngs and the me's? The me's and the youngs.
Definitely older than all of us.
No way.
100%. Yes.
That can't be true. Okay, so let me ask you. How about this?
Old people can't stay awake, Gabe. The tip was until 9:20 Eastern.
Yeah. Right?
You're saying the West Coast olds are staying up.
West Coast olds.
East
Arizona
Coast olds
was bumping last night.
That's that. Well, yeah, but then their team's not even in it. So you're like, okay, well, I don't know. It's just maybe this is what I'm going to call it. The day Jim Nance is done is the day one shining moment is done. Because if I had it in my mind the way it was playing out in my imaginary world that I live in, he's the one that's making it live. He's the one that's demanding we still have it. I picture all these like young assistants and directors and producers like, shit, we got to do this goddamn one shining moment one more. All right, fine. Let's get a bunch of cheesy crap, throw it all together. We got to put that shitty ass song over it. Oh my God, I can't wait till we never have to do this again. And that's how I picture that video getting put together in the truck.
What's gonna
like I
replace
pictured no one
like
wanting
a Lil
to do
Wayne
it.
song?
Yeah, just anything. Or Gunna, who I learned was a person off of SNL this weekend. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Music.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gabe looks so good.
I don't know what Gunna is.
Gabe loves
but
Gunna.
He's a rap guy.
Nominate. I don't know who it is. I nominate Jerome to be the new editor and creative designer of
A+.
One Shining Moment.
Great call.
1,000%. Yeah, yes,
and
Great call.
he can set it to any kind of music he wants, including Pigs and Pugs,
Pigs
or any
and
other one of
Pugs.
the hits he might have created.
Look, I hate to say this word because I cringe a little bit at this too, but we are living in the golden age of like creative people, creators, content, all that, right? This is currency right now, is content. Mm-hmm. I believe this is the time to transition. Look, you can even sort of do like a slow transition. You can kind of like wean yourself remix style until eventually we have like this brand new existence, but it's so overrated. And I know that that's an unpopular opinion because people are lying to themselves, but if they were really going to be honest, they'd know that I'm right. It's overrated, and it has been for quite some time. Ding.
This might start to explain why when Beadle and I were at ESPN, whatever talent we might have each had in our jobs, they were like, Sports Nation's a good fit for you guys. Why don't you go over there? Just leave the rest of this stuff alone, please. We're doing fine. You guys go over there.
Well, because we wanted to fix it. We were like, look, Sports Center, great idea, had its run. We've got ideas. No! Don't you touch the Holy Grail. Oh, fine. Have it your way. I'll never watch it again. Okay, so that happened.